Well, folks, another week has passed, another editor is leaving Kotaku, and the website is continuing its slow death spiral toward complete irrelevancy. It's like a malfunctioning spacecraft, orbiting in a slow descent toward a black hole, and the smartest astronauts are jumping ship while they can. Meanwhile, those who remain behind are flailing out to grasp at any narrative that'll bring in those almighty clicks, in a desperate plea for attention that makes supermarket tabloids look like National Geographic. Looks like the flavor of the week this time is that old standard, gamers are sexist, a narrative they're resurrecting in response to literally nothing. That's right, they're speculating about a backlash that might happen, and filing it under news. And the game they're concerned about this time is, of all things, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the upcoming Viking-themed installment of the Assassin's Creed franchise. Has there been backlash to depictions of female Vikings in the game's trailer? No. Will there be any? I don't know. I have to assume, though, that there wasn't any at the time of this writing, otherwise there would be tweets and Reddit posts plastered all over this article. That is Kotaku's modus operandi when it comes to these types of issues. More on that in a moment. But no, this article is not in response to backlash against female Vikings. It's in response to a Q&A posted on Ubisoft's website. This Q&A format article, posted on April 30th, offers up some interesting information about Vikings and their culture, and how the devs have integrated these things into the new game. If you scroll way down to the bottom, you find this question. Players can choose to play the main character as either a man or a woman, and we even see women fighting in the trailer. Were women warriors in Viking culture? The response states that archaeological sources are highly debated on that specific issue, but the fact is, and I think what's really important, is that it was part of their conception of the world. Sagas and myths from Norse society are full of tough female characters and warriors. It was part of their idea of the world that women and men are equally formidable in battle, and that's something that Assassin's Creed Valhalla will reflect. Somehow, a writer from Kotaku interpreted this as, Assassin's Creed Valhalla devs preemptively shut down bullshit concerns about female Vikings, and then started off their article claiming that the existence of women is controversial, at least in what he calls the more reactionary sections of the gaming community. Listen here, internet scholar, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. There are sexist dickheads in virtually every cross-section of humanity imaginable. If you take all the sexist dickheads in the world and put them in a room with an Xbox, the Xbox would get used because some of those people would be gamers. If anyone complains about female Vikings in an Assassin's Creed game, they're either a troll or an idiot. But let me reiterate, this article is not about any actual controversy. It's about the anticipation of a controversy that's simply not going to happen. I'm not saying that nobody is going to complain about female Vikings, because I'm well aware that idiots and trolls exist online, and I choose to ignore them, unlike this author, who thinks that a few posts equals a massive controversy. For context, let's go back to May of 2018, where another article covered the supposed controversy about the inclusion of women in Battlefield 5, an article that he references and links to in the later Assassin's Creed article. There are women in Battlefield 5, a game set during the Second World War. They're in the game, they're in the trailer, they're even on the posters, and a lot of people are very upset. Which is it, Kotaku? Is it a lot of people, or is it, as you describe in your later article, a small but vocal subset of gamers? True, a small but vocal subset can still be a lot of people, but on the one hand you're trying to give the impression that this is a big controversy, while on the other hand you acknowledge that it's really not that big of a controversy. And the dumbest part about this is that you're not even waiting for the controversy to arise before writing about it, you're just assuming that it will happen with the new Assassin's Creed game. Or perhaps you want it to happen. At least in 2018, he cited some evidence for the idea, posting screenshots of tweets and Reddit posts. I'm going to ignore the Reddit postings for now because, seriously, f*** Reddit. But let's look at the tweets, shall we? There are 3 tweets included in the article. All 3 are replies to GameSpot announcing the cover art for Battlefield 5, and all 3 have the names and avatars of the tweeters blurred out. I suppose that's respectable enough, but something else that's noticeably absent is any indication of what kind of response these tweets were getting. This, of course, would be very helpful information in determining the extent of the controversy, so I went back and found the original tweets. I won't be revealing the identity of the people who tweeted these either, but I will give you an idea of how much influence they have. This one is from an account that has just over 200 followers, and that's the current count. They probably had fewer back in 2018. The tweet got 3 likes. Then there's this one from an account with less than 100 followers. This tweet got 2 likes. And by the way, neither one of these first 2 tweets got any retweets. And then there's the cream of the crop, the first tweet featured in the article. This one was the hardest to find, because it was rewritten several times with different wording. There are 2 versions of this tweet currently live on Twitter, one with a typo and one without, and neither one matches the wording of the tweet in the article. The first version of the tweet, the one with the typo, has 2 likes, and the second version, posted just a few minutes later, has 0 likes, and neither have any retweets. So let's take a tally, shall we? Altogether, these 3 tweets have a grand total of 7 likes and 0 retweets. Meanwhile, the tweet that they're all replying to has 845 likes and 204 retweets. Using this magical and mysterious ability that I call math, I have deduced that response to the cover art was way more positive than it was negative. But just to be thorough, I decided to scroll through some more of the replies to GameSpot's tweet and see if there were any with more responses. Perhaps 2 to 3 likes was the baseline. Nope, I found this one with 26 likes that simply says, looks identical to Battlefield 1, and then these 2 with 26 likes and 10 likes respectively, criticizing the fact that the female character is on the ordinary version of the cover art while the deluxe edition features a man. Perhaps you'd like to dig into that, eloquent scholar who writes for Kotaku. More people were annoyed by the gender disparity between the 2 versions of the cover art than were annoyed that there's a woman on the cover of the game. Almost seems like there's some sort of logical fallacy at work here, perhaps something called confirmation bias, predisposition to a pre-existing conclusion, a narrative that you want to push rather than inform us accurately about. The writer goes on to point out that the Battlefield series has never been about recreating a historically accurate setting. Same thing in the 2020 article about Assassin's Creed Valhalla, to which I reply, duh. Were there female Viking warriors? Who gives a f***? This is that eloquence I was talking about. First of all, this is a question, and you've ended it with an exclamation point. That makes it a statement. At very least, know when to use an interrobang. Second of all, this deranged rant that you go on in the last 2 paragraphs of your article is not news. For the record, I agree with you. I don't care if there were real female Viking warriors. That's probably what I'll pick if I choose to pick up this game, because it sounds badass as hell. We are talking about the culture that invented the concept of shield maidens, after all. But thirdly, you can't even keep your story straight. In this very article, you write about the popularity of female Commander Shepard in Mass Effect. You write about how Cassandra became the face of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the previous game in this series. If offering the choice between male and female playable characters is somehow controversial, where was it for Prey? Where was it for Dishonored 2? Where is it for Cyberpunk 2077? Or any of the other quadrillion games that have a female protagonist or the option to play as a female protagonist? This controversy does not exist, which is too bad for Kotaku because it's looking like they need it to in order to stay relevant. They don't have much else to talk about lately, aside from how annoyed they are by birds on their Animal Crossing islands and other scintillating topics like that. If you'd like to see me ragging on them for that, you can check out my previous video. A card for it should be appearing on the screen now, or you can find a link in the description below. If you enjoy this content and want to see more, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This has been Vespa Tomlinson. Good night, and good games.
Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, sub, and hit that notification bell, and then check out some of these other videos. Find the link to our Discord server and other important stuff in the description below.
Protect and serve.